Hi, this is Yuri from World Anime Networks, and I'm here to show you how we set up our clip studio. Let's get started and checking out our layers. So this is a standard keyframe, second keyframe or cleanup file. And you can see there's a lot of parts, but although some of our settings may be different, we have standards in the studio where we must all be the same. So that, when you share work, it can be easily understood and the pipeline or the process is, a bit regulated. So first off, we have the canvas, this large paper area, and this is the frame. This is like, analog or traditional animation where you still have pegs here, you still have the studio name, and you have what kind of keyframe is this? Is it cleanup? Is it rough keyframe? There's the dotted line and the frame itself. Let's take the layers. We have the frame. It's in Japanese, but it's almost always the top of the layers. So KF stands for keyframe, and that's where we usually draw or animate our keyframes. So these are the animation folders. They have a different icon over here, you can tell. And that designates that it's an animation folder, not a regular folder. So this is cell A and cell B. Let's put that back. Inside the animation cell folder, you can see the sheet number. So this is A0. Sometimes they don't start with 1. A0, A1, A2, A3, A. This is the Japanese character for A. AI, A4, and A5. Right. We also write down the sheet number on the keyframe itself so that we know what we're drawing on, what we're doing. And we have B, follows the same pattern. Now there's no limit to the number of animation cells depending on your cut. It can reach up to G, I, J, M. It's reached to N for us. That was the biggest cut. I think it had 300 sheets. Something, I don't remember which channel it was. Alright, that's the keyframe. At the bottom, we have the layout folder. The layout folder isn't an animation folder because at least the second keyframe artists or the cleanup artists, we don't animate the background. So we just have this layout folder as a sort of guide, and this is where we also put the rough keyframes or the first keyframes made by our Japanese coworkers. These ones are just imported and we don't touch them, we don't edit them. This is what we clean up. And of course, the last layer is the paper. That's just the last part of the Clip Studio file. Allows you to have a white surface to draw on. Alright, that's the layers. Next up, we have our light table and our timeline. Okay, the timeline is this part of our file, setting up the timeline. So this one, Alright, so setting up the timeline according to the timesheet. Before we begin animating or cleaning up, we have to make sure that the timeline and the timesheet are the same so that the motion is consistent as intended by the key animators. So the first thing we do is check the timesheet. Right, A, B, so that's A0, A1, and then B1. And then right on the first frame of the second, B2 comes in with 2 in-betweens over here. We don't need to worry about in-betweens right now. But what our job in second keyframe is to make sure that this is consistent. So there we go. A0, A1, B1, and B2 are in the same place. That's how we set up our timeline, and that's how we do it for the rest of the timesheet. Something weird about the timeline is that if there is no cell, if the sheet is not assigned, even though you have it in your layers, it will not show up in the canvas. So make sure you have your timeline assigning your sheet properly. There you go. If you're on B1, you can't go on B2. It automatically moves to that. So make sure you're on the right sheet as well, and folder. And timeline, you can have many timelines. Okay. For the light table, this is your folder, and this is your light table. These are the layers in your folder. And this is your light table. Let's empty that out. This is your active light table, and this is what's in your folder. You can see it if you open this up, take to the stick, hide it. They also appear, they also interact. So whatever you do here happens in here. Okay. If you drag something in the light table, it automatically appears as if you were placing a paper on a traditional light table. See? Control your opacity here. And there it is. B2 is on the light table. You can check it with the check surrounding cells by input. We'll get to that later. Okay, what can you put on your light table? Anything, any part, even itself. You can put your own sheet on the light table. Why would you want to do that? Maybe you needed to refer a motion to the existing keyframe. Maybe you just needed a guide to proportion when you're moving something. Generally, you can place anything on your light table. You can also edit the way it looks. Of course, here's opacity. Here is the color mode. Just like in Retas, you can see half color or monochrome. It becomes blue. This makes it easier. For example, if there's a lot of sheets in your light table, you can change the color. Now you can distinguish each sheet from each other. See? This makes it easier for us to clean up the frames because now we can see how each sheet interacts with each sheet. We can keep consistency, proportions, and details consistent with this light table feature. Now, over here, we have the corrections, the rough keyframes, all in the light table. That's the light table. Our preferences. Alright, so our preferences are pretty standard. We have a G13 right here, and this G is basically a shortcut pad where we can easily check the light table with this, and we can access our tools here. This is a standard equipment in the studio, and a lot of animation studios also use something like this. The most important part is this lever thing. So you can check the light table with this. This method, this is called comparing cells to the rough correction or to other cells. And we don't need to use this G13 lever all the time. By default, the preference is set to your number pad. Right? So you can check over here in shortcuts and in main menu, animation, show animation cells, check cell by motion input. See, that's number 5. And then check surrounding cells by input. A over here in the G22. You you can see that this is A, and we have these are the number pad that you can use to check each cell in the light table. Basically, think about it like this, okay? This icon means it's the current sheet. So that is marked as number 5 when we click it. So these ones are the ones surrounding number 5. So this would be number 4, and number 6, number 7, number 8, and so on and so on. Or with the lever, this would be not moving, or it would go left, it would go right, and these ones don't have lever shortcuts. So the lever is limited, but it's good for quick checking of the nearby cells. Yeah? Alright, that's checking our light table with our G15. Alright, that's a quick setup of our studio and how we use our light table and use our equipment to animate quickly using digital technology to make the process faster, better, stronger, and that's it. Thank you for supporting World Anime Networks, and stay safe out there. Have fun and keep watching anime. Bye-bye!